For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emma, and I'm working in the training team here at MRI, helping agencies get the most out of Strata Master. I've been with MRI for over 4 years, so it's been a while. Hopefully I've got some tips and tricks up my sleeve that you haven't seen before. In terms of the content for today, first up we've got registers and quick reports and ways that you can use these functions to suit your unique management style. Then we've got default access contacts and cost limits. We've got the diary function and all of its different uses. Group reporting, which I'll show you how this function or what this function is, and then how to manage your larger projects or multiple OCs using this function. And then lastly, a few things to assist you with cleaning up your database so that you can use all of these functions to their full potential. Okay, so as strata managers, there's a lot of things like contracts and compliance items, keys, whatever else to keep track of to make sure that the lifts are being serviced, the caretaking contracts are being renewed, fire safety inspections are conducted. Registers allows you to keep all of those things in the one place. So you'll have the ability to create your own unique register type, which then allows you the ability to decide what information you'd like to record / report on, or even better, be reminded about. So I'm going to go in and do a demonstration now. So registers can be located in this brown filing cabinet on the home screen or through the corp screen, same little brown filing cabinet. You've also got a registers tab in quick reports. And I'm just going to move this over. Click on registers. I'm going to grab registers from the home screen. So you can see each of these tabs along here correspond with your output options, except for the meetings tab, which has got its own little tab over here that gets access to the meeting wizard. If you've not seen the meeting wizard before, which is this guy, contact our training team so that we can show you how to make the most out of that function. In the meantime, with the rest of the registers, within each of them, you've got different information that you're popping in and different information that you can search through quick reports. So for example, with the contract register, you're putting the creditor, so who the contract belongs to, the contract type, how long for, I'll just expand the contract type here. So what sort of a contract it is, how long for, the commencement date, expiry date, all of this stuff comes up in quick reports and can also be configured within your reminders. So if I go to manage reminders configuration, I can tick contracts, and we've got prior to the due date, which corresponds to our expiry due date over here. So annual fee, so on and so on. To add a new item in the registers, when you put the screen into edit mode, you've got the big green plus to add a row. Now, each of these types here is they're something that you select, and so they're something that you add outside of registers. So to add a register type, you go up to the configure menu, down to register types, and within here you've got each of the register types, so your lot register types, your key register types, contract register types, and so on. So for contract register types, blank page, pop in the description, and that's your type that will correspond to contract type. Now, the compliance register is slightly different to the others in that you can have these things pop up on work orders, and you can also have them pop up on the corp screen as well. So I'm just going to hop out of all of this so I don't make it confusing. So in the work order, we've got this little section up the top here, so where you can see red. That's indicating that you're going to have some notes pop up on the work order when it's created. So if I click a brand new work order, I'll select a creditor and whoops, pop in details and go preview. I've got some stuff here that's showing up. So down here, I've got some access and heritage building information. That's populated because I've got register types attached to this plan. So if I go into 4444, I go into registers, and I go into my compliance tab. This is where I add things that I want to show up on my work orders. So for example, if I have an asbestos register on site that I need tradespeople to be aware of, then I would add a compliance type called asbestos register. So under configure, register types, compliance register types. To add a new one, it's just blank page. So in my, I'm going to do edit because I've already got asbestos control register. So in here, I've got the description. So that's what will show up in red when I do the work order. So what will show up in here, that's my description. So configure, register types, compliance register types. It's my description. If I tick display in R&M, that's going to mean it shows up on the work order. If that's not ticked, then it would probably be something like window locks maybe, where you're just sort of popping information in, but you're not wanting it to show up on all of your work orders. Display warning on OC screen, so that's going to show up on the OC screen where you've seen your other warnings. And then your message is the message that shows up. When you attach, so once you've created this type, you don't have to create it again. And when you attach it to the plan, so if I put the plan into edit mode, actually what I'll do, just to give you a refresher in case you haven't used registers at all before, registers in the home screen, I've got the plan 4444, compliance register, edit mode, new line using the green plus, and I select asbestos control register. I can fill out this information or leave it blank. And then I've got, I'm going to scroll all the way across to the end here, this message here that I can change according to the plan. So for example, for a lot of the plans, it might just be available on request, whereas for this plan, it might be available in main meter room or something like that. And that's what will show up on the work order. So that's your compliance register. The other registers are predominantly for you to be able to record information and be reminded on information. Quick Reports is a brilliant way to stay on top of your management tasks. It's an interactive reporting tool. It lets you search deep within the data for anything from tradesman preferences to following up work orders to searching insurances, so on and so on. So up the top here, you've got different categories which determine whether you're searching lot information, invoice information, corporations, etc. So it's sort of, I suppose, your data source. The middle section, the first section, so just underneath that, we've got where you put the plan details and manager details, so you can sort by portfolio. Then in the middle, you've got the output options, and they will change depending on which tab you're in Quick Reports. And then right at the end, you've got the search criteria. So that will allow you to enter dates and things like that so that you can reduce what might be quite a lot of information depending on how big your portfolio is and what you're searching. All right, so let's do a demonstration. Quick Reports on the home screen, top toolbar up here. Also in the reporting menu. This is one of my favorite functions of Strata Master. I really enjoy a good amount of transparency, or I enjoy how interactive this is. It really makes me feel a lot more relaxed about what's going on. You can pretty much see most of the information that's ever been entered into Strata Master using Quick Reports. So for example, when I'm in the Corporations tab, I've got my output options just to show corporations. I hit the binoculars and I can see pretty much anything that's entered into the corp screen, unless it is, say, in registers or in lots where I've got my own, another tab for it. You can see the information that's going to display down here by clicking on Configure Columns. And configure columns, this will change, of course, depending on what output options you have and what tab you're under. So in the Corp tab, this is all the stuff that's going to come up when I do my search. I can reduce this information. So if I just want to see, if I'm particularly just interested in seeing the plan number, the tax year end and the financial year end, I can just tick those ones, and it lets me see nice and easily what's happening in regards to tax years and financial years. I can, if I go into my insurance tab and hit the binoculars, I can sort by each of these headings. So I can sort by my renewal date, see the policies that are due to expire. The chain link up the top will give me access to that record, so I can go in and fix up anything that I need to. A good one with insurances is in the financial tab, you've got this reserve funds section here. So if you know an insurance invoice is coming up and is due to be paid soon, and you want to make sure that you have enough funds to pay it when it does, especially where you've got smaller budgets, then you could put something in reserve funds. And when you do that, you can see reserve funds on the front screen here. You can see reserve funds when you go to do a credit to invoice down here. And you can also search corporations which have reserve funds as well. So using the configure columns once again, just bring this over. I will scroll down to reserve funds, check this one. And I can see, once I hit binoculars, all the plans that have got reserve funds. So I could say, for example, go, did I want reserve funds for 4444? I might just go and fix that up as such. All right, so we can sort by the headings, we can get access to the records with the chain link, and we can decide what information is going to show up with configure columns, these bars up the top. That's where you do. I'm just going to do it again because some people do forget this quite often. So this is all the information that's going to come up. You can also add to search. So say, for example, you wanted to see all of the lots in 4444. We hit the binoculars, but you also wanted to see all of the lots in 5555. That's where you can click the binoculars with a plus and it will add that plan to the search for you. There's a few other things in here as well. So I'm just going to get rid of this and search all just to refresh it. You can also show invalid email addresses. So those email addresses that you might need to change, that bases it on what's in, I keep stretching the wrong column. Okay, let's just leave it. It bases it on what's in your email address, sorry, over here. So as we can see, we've got 2 ats in this one. In this one, we don't have a .com. So it's not based on what bounces back. It's just based on the actual email address itself. You can show all levies in arrears. So if I uncheck this one, tick all levies in arrears. You can also show things like creditor invoices. So if a creditor contacts you, say ABC Locksmiths, calls up and says, I haven't been paid for this invoice, you can do a search for that one. Generally, you'd put a date range in. If you forget to put search criteria in, so say we've got nothing in any of this search criteria and you click the binoculars, if you've got a big database, it's going to be a long search. So to stop that, there's this big red stop button at the top. When you click it, it will stop the search at the next 100 records. So it means that you can go, whew, it's not going to slow me down from doing my job. I can go pop my search criteria in here, so on and so on. Okay, so that is quick reports. Your work orders contain a place for access contact details, and you can have this auto-populate using the default access contact. They also have a cost limit, which we set up in the same place, and we're going to go and do that now. Okay, so up on my screen at the moment, I've got the default accessed contact and work order cost limit screen. This will feed into your work orders. So bottom left here, we've got access contact details. So whenever I put in access contact over here, will default to my work order. And that saves me having to manually put it in each time when I'm doing the work order or manually type it in. And it's the same for the cost limit over here. So if I put a cost limit in the work order cost limit, then it will pop up on here. Now, in order to select someone for the access contact, they need to be attached to a plan. So in the tradesman tab of the plan, you can see you've got all of your contracted and preferred tradespeople in here. The benefit of having them in here is, first of all, when you do a work order, they will come up in your preferred and contracted tradespeople drop down. Second of all, you can search them in quick reports, and third of all, you can attach them to default access contacts for work orders. But also, you've got this little section here for frequency and days. So how often they're on site and what days they're on site can be really important information to know, especially if you get owners that call up and ask when the gardener's coming or whatever else. So to set up that default access contact and to get to that screen that I just had open before, it's manage and repairs and maintenance. So manage, repairs and maintenance will bring up this default access contact screen. Remember, the default access contact needs to have been set up in the tradesman tab. A way around that, so if I select someone using the binoculars after putting it in edit mode, so if I select Action Lawns and Gardens, say they're the caretaker for the plan, I can't change this top line here, so I can't delete that, but I can change these details here. And that's generally because you would have a caretaker with, or a caretaking company with several different caretakers or building managers on different sites. And so for each of them, you might need to put in different contact details. You can fill out these items as you like. It depends on how you prefer things to look. Go back and put that space in. Now your work order cost limit, that's what will show up on the work order, so the tradesperson knows they can't spend more than that. And the authorised cost limit, this is the amount that you can invoice up to in Strata Master before it gives you a warning to say you're over the authorised cost limit. That's per invoice, by the way. All right, so if I save that and pop back into my work order, we can see Bob from Action Lawns and Gardens is my default access contact. If I need to, I can take that out at the time because, you know, for whatever reason, Bob can't give access on this day. And then we can also change the cost limit if we need to as well. Just lastly, in quick reports, when you do a search on the corporations tab, now I've already reduced my columns. So just in case, configure columns up here, which I need to bring over. Configure columns. Oh, I don't know why I made that big. Configure columns here. So I've just selected Plan Manager, and then down the bottom here, I've selected default R&M access contact and authorized cost limits so that I can see which plans have got default access contacts and what their authorized cost limits are and so on. In here as well, this is where you can see the tradesman preferences. The diary. There's 3 different diaries in Strata Master. You've got the user diary, the owner's corp diary, and the lot owner diary. And you can use all 3 of these to enter tasks and create reminders. So the user diary, that's found on the main screen, that will contain any diary entry that you as the user put in. So even if you assign it to someone else, you'll be able to see it so that you can follow it up. And if someone else assigns a diary entry to you, you will also see it. So it has to be assigned to you or you need to have put it in. The user diary will show you everything, including the owner's corp diary entries and the lot owner diary entries. If you're adding something in the user diary, you're adding it as a general reminder, such as check my insurances or check levy postings or something like that. The owner's corporation diary is where all of your tasks, conversations, repairs, maintenance, time-based charging can be done. This is where you're predominantly going to be entering diary records. And then you've got the lot owner diary, where you would just enter, first of all, breach notice information would breach notice. Debt recovery. Debt recovery information is going to populate in there, but it's also where you'd keep track of payment plans and things like that. The first diary I'm going to show you in Strata Master is the user diary. That's located on the home screen. So it's this calendar up the top in the home screen. And that's where you can see all of the diary records that have been assigned to you or that you have assigned to someone else. When I say assigned to or for action by, that can be changed in this for action by drop down here. The way that I like to use this is by clicking on the title, just so I can see the ones that I've assigned to someone else that I just want to keep track of versus the ones that are assigned to me, which are those that I need to follow up. Uh, the way that the user diary generally works best is if it's what you use as your follow-up. So if you come in the morning, click on the diary, see what is due, and either complete it if you've completed it, or click the chain link to go to the property and do whatever you need to do, or use the diary record itself to create a work order if necessary. To do that, to create a work order, you can either double click on the sub record or click on the tools. Entering things in the user diary means it's not assigned to a property or a lot. So if you're in the home screen diary or the user diary, just be mindful that when you create a new record, you can't assign it to a property afterwards. The lot diary, the corp screen diary, actually I might do the lot diary first. So in the lot card, in the lot diary, this is where you would enter details of payment plans or where your debt recovery diary records will go. So with a payment plan, you'd put the details of the payment plan, assign a due date for when the next payment is due so that you can go and check to see if that money's been received. I'm going to show you how to enter a diary record through the lot card because that's where you're the lot card, the corp screen, because that's where you're predominantly going to be entering your diary records. So follow-up is done through the user diary, lot payment plans through the lot diary, pretty much everything else through the corp diary. From the corp diary, you've got the ability to produce a report of everything that's in there. So in the reporting tab here, if I pop in an entry from date and an entry to date, so say I go to the start of financial year, the property's financial year that is, I like to tick in full because it will provide me with not just the main diary records here, but also the sub records that are within those. And I click preview. My full diary report will come up. It's really useful for, I suppose, justifying fees if you're recording time spent and time charges and whatever else. But also you can export it to Excel. So if you've got some sensitive diary records that you don't want to report on, if you export it to Excel, you can sort of take those out and have everything else in there. Alternatively, you can also report on each record individually. And this is really useful when you've got those bigger projects. So for example, if you're doing group reporting for a window replacement project, this is not a good example. It's got AGM. But if you are doing it for a window replacement project, then you've got a separate report for the diary and a separate report for the financials. I've got AGM 2021 in here because I use it for AGM follow-up. So where you would usually get the minutes from the AGM and highlight all of those things that you need to action before the next one or action once the resolution period is expired, which you can obviously make your due date. So once you've entered this after the meeting, pop in the date that you're allowed to start actioning things, and that's when it will show up in your user diary. And what I've done is I've put all of the action items as separate sub records. So I've got my main diary record and I can preview it. It comes out as the one project with all of my sub records, all of my time spent. So if I exit this one, I'm going to show you now how to add a brand new project. So when I first click on the diary in the corp screen, it's going to assume I'm wanting to create a new diary record. If I've clicked on something else, I just have to click on the blank page to go back to it being a new record. So I'm going to put in another window replacement project. And then I'm going to click on details and go window replacement and hit save. My details will disappear. And the reason they've disappeared is because Strata Master is going, oh, did you want to enter another sub record? And I said, yes, I want to enter another sub record. Save. What you'd actually be saying is things like committee approved quotes, might be send notice to residents, save, enter another one, save. And then when I click on my main project again, or if I click on the diary record tab, I can see all of the sub records within that. When I click on a sub record and the details, that's when I can edit the sub record or do some time charging against that sub record. When I click on the main project and details, that's when I'm entering a new sub record. Okay, so to do time charging, so you can see here you've got the column for time spent and the column for charge. You've also got your work order details. If I click on a sub record and the details tab, to the right, I've got my charging/time. The rate per hour and increments come from the configure users section. It's not a good example. Rate per hour, charge unit minutes. So that's where that comes from. You can either start a timer, do the things that you need to in the background, still goes, and stop it and charge it. And that will charge based on what you've got entered here. If you just wanted to record a certain amount of time and not charge for it, you need to put the time in first, hit tab, total charge 0 and hit tab. You want to hit tab after you've put the total charge in just to make sure, because if you hit tab again after I've put the time in, it will go based off this again. So hitting tab after the charge just once is the way that you don't charge without changing your rate per hour and showing a certain amount of time that's been spent. Good one, Emma. All right, so window replacement, I can see how much time has been spent. I can see that the time charge is 0. I can still change that if I need to. So if I see a mistake in there and I click on the details tab, put 150 and hit tab, I can save and it's changed to 150, or I can go, whoops, I accidentally charged 150, put 0, hit tab, click save. I can see time spent with no charge. And that again will show up in my window replacement project report. Okay, that is the diary. Group reporting, it's another very helpful tool for the more complex or larger maintenance projects. So this allows you to produce a separate set of financials for the bigger projects or for your multiple OCs, which differ from your usual budget, usual levy schedule, usual entitlement set. So let's go into Strata Master. Earlier I spoke about managing a project using the diary. So where you might have a window replacement project, you would have the one main diary record, and then within that, all of the different stages of that project. And therefore you can report on that separately to the day-to-day operations. Now you can do that financially for the project as well. There's two reasons that you might want to do that. The first one being that you want to present reports that show the revenue and expense that has specifically come in for that project. But second of all, because you'd be invoicing or levying the money that you want to raise for the project, maybe a little bit differently to the liability that's currently set up. So if you have a look, when you're in the corp screen in the entitlements tab here, we've got our levy entitlement set, which is in accordance with your plan of subdivision, and that's, what you raise your levies by. With group reporting, it allows you to raise a different set of levies following a different set of rules to meet that project. So for example, with window replacement, you might put the total amount of the invoice as your total entitlements, and then the breakdown would be what each owner is contributing to that invoice. In order to set something like this up, you've got two main stages, and the first stage is to set up your group reporting types. So in configure group reporting types, you've got all of these ones that are already in there. But to create a new one, you click on the blank page and you're just giving it a long name and a short name. And that's just so where you've got reports that can show the long name, it will come up, and where you've got those that don't have as much room, you can use the short name. It's the same for that entitlement set. So stage one is setting up the types. So we've already done group reporting types. Entitlement types is the same. So you've got your long name and your description. So you're just creating exactly the same thing in entitlement types. The reason you're creating a group type and entitlement type is because you attach the entitlements in the corp screen here. And then once we've done this, we're going to match that up with a group so that whenever we're invoicing or levying or creating a budget, we know that that entitlement set is connected to that group. Okay, so because we've put in our types now, we're now in the plan and we're going to link the entitlements that we just added to the plan. So in edit mode, you're typing in the first box, so it's the name, window replacement. The total entitlements, like I said before, it's if in this case, it might be the total of the invoice. If you've got multiple OCs within a plan, then you'd actually have different entitlement sets. You may call this OC1, OC2, and so on. And then you select the entitlement type. So that's why we're entering the type first. So we've got entitlement type that we're selecting, and then we're setting it up, based on what each owner is paying. Once you've done that, you just want to link the two. So you go to Manage Group Reporting, pop it into edit mode. You can create a new row by clicking on the green plus and selecting your group and selecting your entitlement set that it goes with. I'll just delete that because I've already done it. So we've got window replacement for our group, window replacement for our entitlement set. So they've been linked. So just a quick refresher, if you're taking notes, we've got two stages. Stage one, create the titles, and that is configure group reporting types and configure entitlement types. Stage two is setting up the entitlements and linking them. So that's the corp screen entitlements tab. And second part of stage two is manage group reporting, where you're putting them together. What that will do for you is allow you to produce reports for your financial groups. So for the window replacement, you can get all these reports and you can raise levies. So if I was to raise levies for my window replacement, I would select window replacement as my group in the levies tab. You can see that something has got active groups where you see the active groups in green up here above the plan. You can also invoice against the group by selecting group down here in the invoicing screen. And you can also create a budget for the group as well by selecting group in here in the budgeting screen. If you haven't seen any of these screens before, or I haven't done a budget in Strata Master before, once again, let the training team know. All right, so yes, you can create your budget. That's kind of it on groups. There's obviously a lot more as far as depending on how unique you're trying to make it to your business is concerned. But yeah, once you have set up these types, so once you have done the group reporting type in here, and you've got to do window replacement again, I'll delete that so that I don't contradict myself. But if you've got to do window replacement again, you've already got that type in there and you already have the entitlement type in there, so you won't have to enter it again. It will just be a matter of putting your entitlements for the group into the entitlements tab of the corp screen, and then linking the entitlements and the group together so that you've got group reporting active for that plan. In order to use all of these helpful tools, it's really important, or it's really important to have clean and reliable data. These tools will work best for you if your database has accurate information. So to see the things that you need to follow up without getting bogged down in all of the old work orders and diary entries and whatever else, I will show you how to get rid of those quick. One of the best things you can do for yourself as far as this software is concerned is to stay on top of cleaning up your data. So by cleaning up your data, I'm referring to checking for any inconsistencies. So you can use quick reports. As we've discussed a few times, you can use insurance and just double check that there's, say, no outstanding open claims that are open for too long, I should say. The same with the insurance policies and renewal dates. You can do the same with repairs and maintenance. So seeing all of your work orders in one spot, being able to use the chain link to get access to that so that you can complete it if you need to. And okay. You can also use this for checking lot information such as how people are receiving their levy notices, so all their delivery preferences. So if I go into the configure columns and I'll just include levy delivery method and do a search, I can see who's on print and who's on email in here. And go through and change them if required. So using the chain link, going ABC developer, bother. Now you can also see here that ABC developments is linked to multiple lots. So we've got here this owner contact is linked to multiple. We've got the linked lots tab here, but if I click on this, it will also it'll just take me straight to that tab. The way that this works is it's basically you've got the one contact card. So this, wherever you see this yellow sticky note, that's saying this is a person, and that sticky note can then get attached to multiple lots that have all got their own different settings and whatever else. So to ensure that you don't have a double up of these, I'll just go back in again, to ensure you don't have a double up of these contact cards, which will affect things like you want owners that have got multiple lots to have just the one login for the portal. You don't want them to be receiving, certain bits of correspondence twice and all that sort of stuff. So, and also if they change their details and you've got multiple ABC developments in there, it's hard to know. You're not changing it then for all of their lots. So to clean up your duplicate contacts, you pop into Manage and Contacts. You click on Potential Duplicate. You can do it one owner's corp at a time or the entire portfolio. Do a search. And then you can see the potential duplicates that are in there. So in order to tidy that up, you just want to have a look inside each of the contacts to see what kind of contact information they have in there, just to make sure that you've got everything covered. If you can see that they're exactly the same, you want to make one of them a primary contact by checking this box up here and clicking Save. And then using the Control key, select the other one, select both of them together, and then click Save, and that will, what's the word? Put them together. Hang on, if I hover over Save, it will tell me consolidate the duplicates. And then lastly, as far as cleaning up your diaries and work orders are concerned for very, very old tasks, especially if you've taken on a portfolio and someone's just left all of their tasks open, a way to reduce that so that it's less overwhelming for you is to go up to the utility menu and down to close diary quotes and work orders. Once you're in this screen, you've got the option to select one or multiple. You can select yourself as a manager, and then you want to tick which ones you're looking to close. So if you're looking just basically to close everything, your drawing a line in the sand. So you're choosing a date that you're closing them up to. One of the things that you might like to do first as a safety measure before going through and selecting all the things that you're closing is enter your dates. And if you enter your to date first, it helps just to make sure you're being a lot more conscious of what it is that you're doing. So I may say, I want to close everything up to the 31st of December 2020, and then I can put my from date to whenever, to the end of time, or 2000, the end of time. So I've got my date range from when I'm closing everything, and I can just go through and tick then. And it's maybe just a bit more, a bit safer, because it will default to today's date. And then you click process and it will go through and close all of those for you. And then you'll have a much less overwhelming, um, which means it's easier for you to complete your tasks.